as you don't have a million tabs to begin with, right? So.
True. Fair enough. Cool. Okay. So hello everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 29th. This is a meeting of the SIG Network Policy API subgroup to SIG Network. This is a CNCF certified meeting, so that's why I have to give this spiel. Please be nice to everybody and follow their code of conduct rules. Not too much on the agenda today. I just shared the agenda in chat for folks who want to follow along. I had some quick notes that we'll start with. First is I think we were pretty fortunate in this group. It looks like we are confirmed going to have a KubeCon talk for the Network Policy API subgroup as a maintainers track talk. So that's really exciting. Over the next couple months, we'll be prepping it. Like, I highly recommend that if folks have ideas of things they want to be highlighted there, like, please let us know. We'd be happy to highlight stuff that anyone in this group feels is important. I know Surya and I will be there, and hopefully Yang as well. So yeah, that's really exciting. And then also Surya got one accepted on admin network policy specifically. So we'll have 2 talks representing this group that I know of so far. And that's really exciting. So congrats to everyone. Okay. And then the next one is literally just a shout out for review. We have 3 NPEPs. The egress one is almost there. Tenancy has been updated by Nadia. She's on PTO, but I had some questions for her. And then FQDN is pretty small. Like, I'd like to get that moving along. So please try to give those some review. All 3 I would like to kind of get moving forward. They're listed in order of readiness, in my opinion, but please take a look at whatever one interests you, or open new ones if you want. Cool. So that's all I have. I'm going to toss it over to Hunter. Looks like you did some work with Cyclonus.
Yeah, hey everybody. So I'm gonna share my screen.
Yeah. I think I give you I'll give you permission to do so here. Just a minute.
Okay.
Make co-host. Okay, it's all you.
So thanks, Andrew. Current status of cyclonus in our in the SIG is that we've imported it into the API repo, but it seems like we haven't quite done anything with it yet. So in a previous meeting, we talked about documenting how it works and what we can do with it for ANP. In this document, I just kind of gave an overview of what it is and kind of a deep dive into the commands it has and what all the output means, how you can interpret it. And then I also started writing a section on how we can extend it to ANP and BAMP. And so anyone can edit this document if you want, but just to quickly go through it, like it describes all the outputs and functionality, and then shows you what the test case suite looks like and how its architecture is. And then down here, probably the most relevant is what we'd like to do with ANP and BAMP. So I just took a stab at this, but obviously wanted to get y'all guys' thoughts.
Well, first off, Hunter, this is awesome. Thanks so much for diving into this. This looks really good. First question, did you recently build and run Cyclonus from the source code in our repo right now, or were you building from the original repo still?
I think this was from the original repo.
Okay.
But I'm not sure which version you guys ported over, but I think these should be similar.
Yeah, I mean, we've ported over main at the time. I don't know if that fork has had much development at all, if at all. I don't even know if Matt has deprecated it. I think we had talked about that, but let's see. The last commit was on April 7th. That was a long time ago. So I don't think it's really changed too much from what's in
Yeah,
Matt.
even if there is, we can just cherry pick a few commits to our repo. It shouldn't have any conflicts at all, right? Because we haven't changed cyclonus repo at all.
Sweet. Cool. This is awesome. And so I have to look through all this again because my cyclonus knowledge is dated and I haven't looked at it in a long time. In your personal opinion, like, does it make a lot of sense for us to keep maintaining this here? That's question one. And then question two, do you think it's like logical and not impossible to expand to ANP? I know you've a couple project stages here. Like, do you have any idea of how hard that's going to be?
I guess I was starting to think through all the test scenarios and user scenarios. And I don't know if I want to take like an executive decision whether or not it's like reasonable to do it.
So,
But yeah, there would be like logic changes, some UI changes that hopefully aren't the worst, but I'm not fully sure.
so if I remember, the reality cyclonus at the bottom is right. You create set of I call them label sets, right? I mean, you have the label set that is created by pods in the system, and you have what the rule says, and then you look for substrings, if I remember it correctly in the current implementation, that if you find a subset of labels that is in that you have in the rule, and it also exists in the pod, then you have a match in the engine. Now it's 2 years since I looked at this last time, but so from the way the matching do, I think you should be able to expand it. Because there's nothing really different in how the rules work, right? We still work on labels and namespaces.
Yeah, I think the main two additions would probably be priority, and obviously the AMP versus network policy, and then the same labels versus not same labels should be fairly easy.
Okay. Cool. Well, this is really awesome. I'm going to take some time and try to give this doc review, put any ideas there. But really at the end of the day, like, there's two separate blocks of need, right? There's cyclonus possibly for helping or assisting or expanding our conformance testing that Surya and Yang have already been working a lot on, or there's cyclonus to use it as some piece of tooling, right? Like a visualization tooling or something along those lines, a testing piece of test tooling, etc. I don't think we have to cover both cases if we don't want.
Right.
But what I want to do is make sure we decide on one, both, or neither, right? And that's not just me. That's going to come with input from Surya and Yang as well, who have been working on conformance, and also like finding an owner. Like, do you want to keep kind of owning this, Hunter? I know you didn't sign up to own everything, but you signed up to kind of give this overview, and this looks awesome. But if you want to kind of stay along with it, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll definitely stay along with it.
Cool. So yeah, Surya and Yang, can you all give this a review too before sometime, hopefully before the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. The link is already in the agenda doc, right?
Yep.
Cool.
This is awesome. I'm really excited. This is like filling a huge gap, Hunter. So again, kudos. We really appreciate it. And kind of linking back into KubeCon, right? If we decide to go away with this, like, this could be a cool thing to highlight in KubeCon if we come up with some really nice tooling. Well, it's already nice tooling. If we can come up with some nice tooling with some of our APIs, right? It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions for Hunter? Comments?
I guess at what stage do we decide which way we want to go, right? Like, or is there actually a harm in having both?
Oh, you mean about the two kind of paths for this?
For testing, yeah.
It's I don't know yet, to be honest with you. I don't think there's harm in having both. Like if we can use cyclonus or whatever we want to rename it to for, enhanced tooling, enhanced visualization, and enhanced conformance testing, I see no problem with that, right? We just have to weigh the maintenance burden for this group, right? Because we're still a small group, and hopefully that changes, but it might not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's going to change after KubeCon.
I think it will too, because we've never had a KubeCon talk.
Yeah, it's going to make a big difference.
So is that what happened like in Gateway, Shane? Like you had a KubeCon talk and then you saw a lot more.
Like a ton of them. Gateway API had like tons of KubeCon talks, and after every talk, we would get like a huge influx of new people.
Okay.
And it wasn't necessarily right away, but it came, and they're like, "Yeah, I saw your YouTube," that kind of thing.
Cool. So then I guess let's keep that in mind, right? Even for you, Hunter, like, you can kind of, I'm not saying you have to make the choice, right, of what we're going to do, but you're in deep here. So like, I'd love to hear kind of your take on it, whether it's in this doc or in another meeting, about what you think we should do. So.
Yeah, let me focus on that like question and get some better answers.
Awesome. Does that answer your question, Surya?
Yeah, definitely.
I think
Yeah, and I also want
overall-
to just
oh,
thank
sorry.
Hunter. Sorry. No, I just wanted to thank Hunter overall because I did the porting of cyclonus, but then I really didn't know anything about cyclonus, and then we were just like sitting on it with a lot of potential that it has. So it's really great to see some movement here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I guess just the one extra thought I had was so cyclonus is broken into like kind of the analysis engine and like probing verification of connectivity tool, and then the test case is built off of that. And it seems like if you build like the analysis engine, which would help you like visualize your policies, then you kind of get the probing and test case for free.
Yeah, that's cool. And I know, like, I don't know how we would use it yet. I don't know the integration, but I know Surya, when we first merged our current version of conformance test, we talked about like making the probing tooling better than it is. So maybe there's some takeaways we can get from cyclonus. Yeah, cool. That's good to know, that architecture. Sounds like a nice architecture. I mean, we had dove into a little bit when we first decided to bring it into the fold, but then, like Surya said, it's just been dropped. So everyone's busy. But I think there's a real gap upstream for all of this. Like any tooling related to any Kubernetes policy APIs, if there's a place for it to live upstream and it's cool and usable, like people will use it. Because today, the only thing you have is downstream specific tooling. Like Cilium's network policy editor is kind of the state of the art,
Right.
and other things. So it could fill a big gap.
Cool.
Awesome. Shout out to Hunter. I need like a somewhere to give a kudos. Oh, there's the kudos there's the kudos channel in Kubernetes Slack. I've never used that. I have to go check it out. Okay. Next topic.
I deleted mine. I don't know. I had
You
one, but
deleted it?
I guess I'll just do it real quick. I'm just a general reminder to people in this group that Surya, myself, and Mattia Lavaca have been involved in kind of a collaboration on the conformance profiles, which is a test suite we started in Gateway API, is now being used in network policy. And at some point here, we are going to probably want to generalize it and make it kind of a test suite that anybody in SIG network can use for conformance for their API. So just, if you're interested in that, reach out to one of us at some point, because at some point the wheels are going to start really spinning on that one, I think. Right now, I don't think we're in a terrible hurry, but like after KubeCon, I think we'll probably start looking at getting a repo up for that. So if that interests you, if building out a test suite so far interests you, let us know.
That's awesome. You're gonna do a contributors. You think you're gonna try and do a contributor summit talk on this?
Surya, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, we are actually planning to do one with Matea Shane. We plan to have a contributor summit talk where they outline what they did for conformance profiles, and then we can do our bit by saying what network policy API project benefited and how our project benefited from that, right? And how we can go further even beyond that. So I'm really hoping to contribute by saying like, so I guess what actually happened is Gateway API came up with this way of doing conformance tests and conformance profiles just for the wider audience here, in a way that in a way such that the burden of conformance tests is actually shared between the API and the implementations. Like it's not just the API owners or the repository or the project maintainers are taking the burden of testing the API, right? Like this is what happened with network policies, at least. In the core, we have end-to-end tests that's not implementation specific, yet it's implementation specific. So with Gateway API, they created this model with conformance tests plus conformance profiles, a layer on top of it, so that implementations can easily just run those tests downstream and then just have a way to report back the results of their implementations, like how the API is actually, whether it's conformant or not, with regards to this nice GEP that actually is there, the Gateway API repo. And that pushes it by that extra, stem. And I also see a lot of participation from implementers in the Gateway API project because of that, right? Because it's also on the implementation now to maintain those tests. And it also gives you this extra conformance badge when you report it back saying, yes, you're conformant with the Kubernetes SIG API, right? Which is cool. So we decided to port the same concept in network policy API project. So we were also at a stage where we wanted to have a way of having a framework to do conformance testing, and Gateway API really helped us here. So we basically, I would even use the word copy without any issues, right? We copied their conformance test framework entirely. We are now adopting their conformance profiles reporting system, and that's what I've linked on the agenda, the issue 137.
Sweet.
And I've even linked to the original GEP. That's the original design. And I think this is pretty cool if we can get it merged in the network project, network policy API project also, so that it's two projects within SIGs that's using this. And I think Shane also had a lot of enthusiasm from the SIG arc. I'm not sure if he can speak to that, but
yeah. No, you covered all the points. So thank you, Surya. But the big thing for people who are listening that might not have heard of this before is previous conformance tests were kind of really on the API on Kubernetes SIGs to kind of keep things going, and there was like no reporting for ingress anyway. And no reporting meant we really didn't know how people were using the API or anything like that, or who was implementing what. Conformance profiles, she covered it, but I just wanted to reiterate it. Conformance profiles lets you subscribe to something like HTTP, or in this case ANP, or something like that. And for the implementations, they actually have to tell you exactly what features they support, they don't support. They run the tests, they get a result, and then they give you a report telling you the result plus what they do and don't support. So you'll have basically telemetry from there on for your implementations. They want to be conformant because they want to get badge, and the report gives them a badge because that looks good on them. And in return, you get data so you can actually know how people are implementing your API. That's the key. And yeah, SIGArch has been pretty cool on it so far. I think we'll probably go back to them like one more time and just kind of let them know, hey, I think we're going to make a repository. And then I imagine there won't be any problem with that. So
Sweet. That's really great. I love the collaboration. I think a lot of what Gateway API has already paved the way, like we've totally piggybacked off of. And at the end of the day, like we're both SIGNet subgroups. So like, let's consolidate, right? I mean, we're just delivering APIs, two different sets of APIs. So if we can get all the other rigmarole kind of in a standard practice methodology, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And while I was actually implementing it,
so my point,
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You're glitching out, Shane.
Today.
Yeah, you're glitching for me too.
To throw out there that anybody who's, can you hear me now? Better? Worse?
Kind of. A little
okay.
better.
All right. I was just gonna. Can you hear me? I was just gonna say anybody who's on the call or like watches the video afterwards, just if you're interested in building this kind of thing, we could use help. So please do reach out. But go ahead, Surya.
Yeah, and then I was just going to tie it back to what you were saying, basically. So as I started implementing their conformance report CRD in our project, we realized that it's almost the same. Like there's not many things that needs to change for network policy project API and network policy API project and gateway API project. That is why this common goal of having a single place where we can put it, where other communities might also be able to share it, makes more sense, because I realized that I'm just maintaining yet another copy of it from the gateway API repo, right? So
Yeah, that's pretty cool idea. I'm definitely interested, and I'm also, trying to understand this a little bit more, because you were saying that, the gateway API have other things like that doesn't really apply to network policy API, like, specific implementation things, which I haven't catched entirely. So to be honest, I already submitted a PR. I don't know if Surya has seen it. It's about, there are actually right now optional features that implementers can or may not have implemented. Like obviously we are still in the discussion of the same labels, but there's also a features that called name port, right? So for the network policy, maybe Urban Kubernetes haven't supported yet, but I think we have already tested that Trace supports it. Now this comes as a like optional feature flag, where when people actually run the conformance test, they can actually specify, I wanted to run, the basic features or the extended set of features or everything, right? And I'm wondering that, how does the reporting back mechanism work in that case, right? So when people choose to just do a specific set of test cases, what do we report as status back to upstream about these test cases, that specific implementations that doesn't even run?
Yeah, in Gateway API and in the conformance profiles enabled test suite, we have this concept of support levels, which is core, extended, and implementation specific. What you're referring to would be considered extended. That is,
right.
not every implementation has to do it. And the conformance profiles test suite and the reporting tool basically has a list, and it'll kind of let you the report will include what features you opted into. So you just do what you said. You flag the extra features that you support. Features are literally just a list of like constant strings that you can add and say, also run these tests. And then the report will say that you opted into them. So people can see that you use those features. Importantly, maintainers can see that you're using those features. So it's known like when a feature isn't being implemented by anybody, or only one implementation is able to implement a feature, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly what Shane said, except we like named ports, like you said, is under extended features. So yeah, like you said, OVNK does not implement it today, but we do plan to add support for it. So in the conformance report, we'll have two things, like the core and extended. And core is that you need to pass all the tests that are tagged as the support core feature, standard core feature, and then you'll get it's passing everything kind of a thing. And then extended is, since you are explicitly passing these as the extra features that I'm running on my tests, as long as you pass all the features that you're passing in the extended, it's a pass, right? So it doesn't mean all the extended features have to be implemented, like same labels or not same labels. I don't think any of us have implemented it, but we still stay conformant.
Yeah, makes complete sense. Yeah, I'm also 100% for putting this out as a separate project, because I was implementing it and I was like, for the name port, I wanted this to be extended feature, right? So in the current test frame, how do I declare it as an extended feature? What I did was I actually went to the Gateway API repo and find out what they did for the extended feature set. So just copied what some of the tests in the Gateway API did, right? So that's how I wrote that PR actually. So I think it definitely will benefit maybe more API implementations if we have this in a separate repo and we have documentations or examples on how we do, let's say, basic features, extended features, or implementation specific. It might, for future API in the network policy, in the network SIG, I guess it might still come other APIs that can, reduce the same thing. It should be pretty useful. Yeah.
And I linked the enhancement NPEP for the conformance profiles for our part, where I try to explain the basics. But you know what? You have more knowledge on the extended tests now that I see your PR up. So we could be able to co-author this together and work on it together, because I might need your help on how you run the CLI, the go test command with the extended, because OVNK does not support extended. So I'll reach out to you, and meanwhile see if you can give it a
Yeah,
read.
sure.
Is the name of like features defined in the conformance tests themselves, like the conformance package for each project, or is it defined as part of tags on the API itself?
Right now, I think it's all actually just strings that we have in a list. So it's been a couple months since I started work on the conformance profile, so it's not all clear in my head at the moment. But I'm pretty sure every feature is just a string in a list. So one of the things we'll have to do to make this more generic is make those loadable. Features need to be loadable.
Right. Okay, cool. No, it's just something to think about. I after exploring like your different support levels and API guarantees for things. Features. The feature name could be kind of funky. Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's all I got for today. Does anyone have anything else? Any other questions, comments, concerns? I see Raul, you hopped on. Just quick note. If you want to just give your NPEP a pass, we'll keep moving it forward. I had left some comments, but it was a lot of little stuff, and I feel like it's a pretty small NPEP, so we shouldn't be hung up on it for too long. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good. I got distracted and didn't really work on that for the past couple of weeks, but yeah, I'll take a look.
Don't worry about it at all. We completely understand. I just saw it this morning and was thinking about it.
Yeah, no, thanks for the review though. I appreciate it. And yeah, if anyone else wants to comment, please do.
Yep. The link's in our agenda. Some exciting features coming down. So definitely take a look at them before they merge without you taking a look at them. And you might have had something really cool to add. Cool. Okay. That's all I got. Last call.
Cheers.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.